Yo guys, what's going on? Blobs is back. Welcome back to another Hot Wheel video. Now I did see this posted on Instagram just a couple of hours ago. The master case for the Boulevard set is coming out, which means that, Boulevard for 2024 is done. 25 cars in total, as per usual. And you know what? I've not done a YouTube video on Hot Wheels for quite some time, and I was like, you know what? Let's do it, So in today's video, I want to give you my personal ranking of the worst to the best Boulevard releases. We've seen 25 cars, and we're going to count down from 25 all the way to first spot. Now, remember guys, if you're watching this video, this is, subjective. This is my personal opinion. Feel free to let me know what your list is like in the comments below. What your top 5. No need to tell me your top 25 now, okay? But, tell me your top 5 or something like that of, your top 5 favorite Boulevard releases from the car culture line for Hot Wheels in 2024. So without further ado, I'm going to take off the camera over here and we're going to get into the list. Okay, so starting off the list, this is basically what we're going to go through for every single one. Okay, in 25th place, in my opinion, what I think is just the worst one of the year, it's the Myers Max. Okay, so on the right, almost said left because I can't tell my left and right apart, but on the right side, as you can see, there's kind of like I kind of want to take an inspiration off the extinction meter, like when you go to the zoo and they tell you, oh, this is an endangered animal, or it's almost extinct, or it's not, whatever. So it's kind of like that. We've got the peg warmer. That's what the PW stands for. Then we've got the unicorn. Okay, so these are basically, based off what I can see in my current markets, what I've seen in with my own eyes, what are cars that kind of just stay on the pegs forever, and what are cars that you never get to see. Now, below that, for everyone, I'll give you my personal hype bar. Like I said, this is pretty subjective, right? This is my opinion on my top 25. So I'll be giving you my personal hype bar and everything as well, if I was excited for the car or not. And then last but not least, the secondary market value, because I think a lot of people want to know how much their Hot Wheels are worth. I can tell you the prices of what they are in the Malaysian market. It might be different in the States or even in Europe, and obviously prices do fluctuate. Basically what happens in the climate over here is that if you've got a normal Boulevard premium card, that goes for an X amount. But if that normal Boulevard card has like an import sticker on the back, maybe from Thailand or China or Japan, usually the prices are a little bit lower because collectors don't like that extra sticker. And I mean, personally, I do not collect anything that has an import sticker on the back. I just don't like it. It feels like, the card has been tarnished. So yeah, that's just one thing to consider as well. There are also like different prices for these, it depends on where you want to look. I'm taking these prices off what I see from other collectors, but obviously if you just go to a souvenir store that might have Hot Wheels or a gas station, they might hike up the prices by like 100%. Doesn't matter what car it is, right? So yeah, just letting you know right now, Myers Max is the worst, in my opinion, the worst Boulevard release of the year. It retails for about 15 to 20 Malaysian, which is like $3 to $4. That's it. Okay. Now it's just to let you guys know the ball mark here, or the ballpoint. No, the hallmark, I guess. The benchmark. That's it. The benchmark is 30 Malaysian for each premium. That's what we would expect. So this is about 50% off to 60% off the regular price. Anyway, moving on to the 24th position, in my opinion, goes to the Ford Super Van. I think this is the Super Van 1. Again, it retails for on the secondary market. It goes for about the same amount of price as the Myers Max, and honestly I think a lot of us can agree, it doesn't matter where you're collecting from, this is the worst Boulevard set of the year, and I think it's set 4, right? The one with the Acura and the Di Tommaso and these two cars that we see at the bottom in 24th and 25th place. Peg warmer, definitely not interested in this. I do not like the deco. It's too noisy, and it doesn't help that I just don't like the color orange. I don't like orange. I don't like yellow unless it's on like a black series, AMG C63, right? If not, I just do not like it. So I did not like this casting at all. Not a lot of people do. Huge peg warmer. Moving on to 23rd place. This comes from the 5th set of Boulevard of the year, the 5th release, and that goes to the 1932 Ford. Again, retails on the secondary market, or well, I guess retail retail isn't the right word, but it goes in the secondary market for about the same prices as the first two cars you saw at the bottom of the list. Also a huge peg warmer, probably the car that sits there for the longest from the fifth case. Usually when I go to my local Toys R Us, because that still exists here, when I go to my local Toys R Us, this is the only thing there that's sitting in the premium section. Okay, now moving on to 22nd place is the Plymouth Savoy. Now this one, okay, personal hype bar has gone up a little bit. It's gone from 1 out of 10 to 2 out of 10. Still a peg warmer. Sells for a little bit more. Instead of 15 to 20 Malaysian, it goes from about 20 to 25, which is about $4.50 to $5.50, something like that. Still, you know, basically resales for under market value. I believe that this car is a lot more popular, maybe, stateside, mainly because of Hot Rod Garage, and also because, you know, American muscle cars, they don't do very well in Malaysia, but they do a lot better stateside, and it makes sense, because, you know, these cars don't exist here, so a lot of people here, they don't know about these cars. But the thing is, that factor aside, I'm just not a fan of, you know, the decal. I don't like the rust, right? This reminds me of like Mater from Cars. Not a fan, you know, was never a fan of Mater growing up. You know, he was always a bit of an anomaly to me. And I just don't like the rust decal. Not my thing, so it's at the bottom of the list for me. Now moving on to the 21st spot, I'm giving it to the MBK van. This one, there's a little bit of a cult following around this car. I know some people that really like it, but the majority of the people still don't really like it. I remember I was at Changi earlier on in the year. It's an international airport for Singapore, and they were selling premiums from this Boulevard set. All I could find was this sitting on the pegs and the Corvette. That's it. The Liberty Walk clearly wasn't there. The Porsche GT4 wasn't there. What else was in that set? The KDR 30 Nissan definitely wasn't there as well. Then obviously outside of the airport, you know, when I was going around Singapore early on in the year, I went to a couple places. I went to Takashimaya. I went to Toys R Us over there. I went to a couple other places that sell Hot Wheel premiums, and it was the same story, right? It was the same. It was mostly the same story, where I saw the MBK van a lot and I saw the Corvair a lot, and that was it. So honestly, peg warmer. Again, there is a small group of people that really like this car, and that's why it resells for a little higher, 25 to 30, which is about, you know, $5.5 to $6.5 US. Again, from a personal standpoint, not a car that I'm interested in, you know. I just don't like it. I don't like this at all. So that's 21st place. Now moving on. Oh yes, and of course, if anyone is wondering like how I find these prices, most of them I find on like this auction site for Hot Wheel collectors on Facebook. So usually what happens, this was live. This was a live auction 4 days ago. The winner got it for 26 Malaysian. So over here, as I can say, like I said, the price range goes from about 25 to 30. A lot of people are trying to sell it for 30, but they actually sell it for less than that. So that's kind of the range that I'm putting it at. Now moving on to 20th position is the Diasu Penta. Again, I feel like some people might like this car. I don't like the color yellow. I like the Penta. I think it's a really cool car, but I don't think the casting does it a lot of justice. Not a fan about the wheels. They're really small, and I definitely do not like the decal on this car. A Penta to me has to be red. That's it. And the yellow just really doesn't work. I really didn't like this. Wave 4 of Boulevard this year was, you know, everyone's least favorite. It was definitely my least favorite as well. It actually made me gag a little. It was that bad. Markets for about 20 to 25, which is again, you know, $4.43 to about $5.53. Again, it's under that primary market price. So if this is a car that you like, instead of getting it for retail price, go to a collector store or something like that, or a collector market for Hot Wheels. You can get it for a cheaper price. At least here in Malaysia, you definitely can. Now, we're going into the top 20. Again, that's not a good thing to say. I think that the really good cars really only come in at like the top 10. But in 19th place, this one is, it's gonna rustle some feathers a little bit, because it's the Acura Integra GSR. I don't like this car. I really don't. I know that there are some people that might like it, mainly because it has JDM bias. I never got that. JDM bias, just because a casting or a car from Mattel in Hot Wheels is Japanese, it doesn't necessarily mean it needs to sell for more, but it does translate that way in car culture most of the time, in my opinion, and from what I've seen. So it is a little bit of a unicorn. I still can't find this. Obviously it's not a good car. In a general scheme of things, I'm not a fan of this. It's a highlight from this Boulevard set, but it's the worst set of the year. That's not saying much, right? It's like saying you're the best player of the worst team in the Premier League. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It sells for quite a bit. It sells for above retail, right? 35 to 45 here in Malaysia, which is like, you know, $7.75 to almost $10 USD on the high end of things. I don't like it. And the main reason why I don't like the Acura Integra GSR is the decal. It looks like a sweet potato. It looks literally like a Japanese purple sweet potato. I cannot. When I see this car, I think of a sweet. I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Anyway, moving on to 18th place now. It's the 60s Fiat Modificado. Again, a little bit of cult following. I know a lot of people that actually really like this casting. They think the car is cute. I'm not one of those people. I don't like it. It's more in the peg warmer side. You know, some retail stores might not have this hanging on the pegs. I would say maybe if you go to 3 out of 10 retail stores, you might find this hanging on the pegs. And then the other 3, you might not. If you go to 7 out of 10, you might see them hanging on the pegs. But the other 3, you might not see them hanging on the pegs. Again, for secondary price, you can still get this car for below market price. You can, at least here in Malaysia, for about 22 to 27, which is about $4.87 to $5.97. I know some people like this casting. Some people might even like the decals a bit. I'm not a fan. Now, moving on to the 17th spot is going to be the Ford Thunderbird Pro Stock. Now, I want to let you know, every single Boulevard casting that we've gone through so far, not a huge fan of until this one. I own this one, actually. I think it's pretty rad. You know, it's pretty decent. I do like my rad cars. Again, it's a peg warmer, okay? It's a peg warmer. I mean, when you think of this Boulevard set, which was set 3, everyone and their mom and dad and son and child and dog and cat is just going for the Civic. So yeah, this car is a little bit underrated in my opinion, but yeah, still not that great in 17th position. Now moving on. Oh god, it's the Countach. Okay, so honestly speaking, I wanted to rank the Thunderbird above the Countach, but the reason why the Countach slightly edges out the Thunderbird, in my personal opinion, is because there is something special about this from a collector standpoint. It's number 100. So if you look in the top right corner of the car, there are actually fireworks. And if you look at all the other Boulevard cars, there are no fireworks, right? There are no fireworks. So that's just a little bit special, but I just do not like this. It on the secondary market price, it kind of goes for about the same amount, 30 to 35. Like I said, for Malaysia, you kind of get a premium for 30 each. So about $6.64 to $7.75. The main reason why I absolutely hate this casting, I hate all the Lamborghini Countach casting, are the wheels. Why is the rear wheel so much larger than the front? I hate that. I absolutely despise that. And I will not collect the Countach if it has those yee ass wheels. I will not do that. So unfortunately, it's so far down the list. Honestly, if it had just proportionate wheels, it would be way higher up the list. Because I don't think the rest of the casting is that bad, but because of the wheels, I have to dock points. Major points. It just doesn't look good. It looks like a dragster or a tractor. It's... Get it? Lamborghini tractor. Oh, okay. Moving on to 15th place. You guys saw this in a snippet already. It's the Ford Lightning. Again, when it comes to this, I think of Fast and Furious, right? I think of this in red. This in this dark blue just doesn't sit too well with me. It is a peg warmer. Again, it's up there with the Plymouth Savoy. This and the Plymouth Savoy are always sitting on the pegs here in Malaysia and in Singapore and basically in Asia, right? Retails, I mean secondary market price, not retail, sorry. Secondary market price about 25 to 30. You can get it for below retail, definitely. So you just gotta know where to look. Now moving on to the 14th spot goes to the Volkswagen SBA Bus. Now if you know anything about me, you would know that I despise Volkswagen. I hate Volkswagen. That being said, this casting, it's alright. It's decent. Am I ever going to buy and collect it? Absolutely not. But I think Mattel did a good job here. I did a good job here, and at the same time, I think that a lot of people want it because it was a collaboration with what's his name, Fluffy. I think it's Fluffy, the comedian. It is a bit of a unicorn. This car is hard to find. I think that a lot of people actually found this a pretty good set 5, right? This. The M3, and of course that Mercedes E36 were all really good castings. This is a unicorn. I know a lot of people that want this. You know, secondary market price goes for above retail, 40 to 45, which is about, you know, $8 to $9, or $9 to $10 even. Pretty cool, I would say, for the collector. But for me, you know, personal hype bar, pretty low. But I get it. They did a good job. Mattel did a good job with this, so 14th place. I'm okay with that. Moving on to 13th is going to be the Volvo 142 GL. Again, you can get this for below retail if you really wanted. 25 to 30. You can get a good deal of it. Like if you can just what's the word? Haggle just a little bit with your local reseller, you can probably try and get it for less than 30 here in Malaysia. You can get it for probably 25. It goes for about $5.50 to about $6, $6.50, something like that. It is a little bit of a peg warmer. Again, most people care about the Samba bus, the M3, and of course that gorgeous E36. Guys, by the way, comment down below what you think. If you can predict my top 5, you know, feel free to throw your predictions out in the comments. But yeah, Volvo, I don't think it's offensive. I'll put it that way. I think it's a very okay one. The casting is a little bit boring in my opinion. I know Lamley loves this. I just don't get the appeal of it too much. It's okay. It's okay. Like I said, I only really like the cars when we get into the top 10 or 11. This is still kind of just meh. I thought it was a pretty weak year for Boulevard, I'll be completely honest with you. Okay, moving on. 12th place is the Mazda 323, and that's the first set done. That's set 4 done. That's every car that we've covered. This was the strongest car from the set, right? This was the set that came with the Ford Transit and the Myers Max and all the other crap, the Integra and stuff like that, the Pantera. This is the only one that resells for more. You know, 40 to 45, goes from like $8.80 to about $10. It is a bit of a unicorn, but honestly, this car is a little bit of a coping mechanism. I feel like people that just want to collect kind of just take this car and they're like, oh, it's the best thing. It's the best thing of the set. It's cool because it's the best thing of the set. If this was in a set with like a Liberty Walk Skyline, or even like, put this in like the Silhouette set that's coming out, right? With the RWB, the R34, the Liberty Walk 720S. This thing would be one of the worst cars in this set. Guaranteed. But because it's in such a weak set, it is, you know, one of the better cars. And that's fine. But I do think that, you know, the hype around this is a little overrated, I'll be honest. It's a cool car. It's a cool car. But seeing Malaysian collectors, you know, fight for this is a little funny, because the Mazda 323 was never sold in Malaysia based off, you know, what I know about, you know, what the cars were sold here. I didn't grow up here, so I didn't know if the 323 was here, but based off, you know, what I've researched, the Mazda 323 was never sold here. So, you know, I just don't get it. Why are we fighting for the Mazda just because it's Japanese? Again, it's just Japanese bias. Again, I think it's a pretty cool casting. It's not offensive. 12. All right, now 11th and onwards are actually castings that I like. I'll put it that way. And we're gonna start off the Mitsubishi 3000 GT. I like this casting a lot. I think that Mattel did a really good job with this. It's a little bit of a unicorn. Retails for about 25-30. Again, if you are really good, find the right buyer at the right time, and you just haggle for it, I think you can get this for less than retail. I genuinely do. I think you can get this for less than retail. Because it came in a set where, you know, again, there was a Skyline in this set, right? That people wanted, that was the holy grail of that set. And that's why I think that if this Mazda 323 was in any other set than the one it was in, it wouldn't resale for as much as it does. But yeah, the 3000 GT I think is beautiful. I would love to have one in my collection, preferably in red. But I think it's really cool, and it's my top 11. Anyway, moving on now, we're moving to my top 10 Boulevard castings, or Boulevard releases of the year. And starting off with number 10, this one is a surprise, honestly, for a lot of people, because this is a peg warmer, but I really like this. I really like this a lot. It's a Chevrolet Corvette Yenko. It's beautiful. I think it's so clean. The livery is just right. It's not too much. It's not too messy. The colors pop. And it's just a really, really clean casting. I do like it a lot. And I mean, it's more power to me, because I can get this for below retail, way below retail if I really wanted to. It goes for like $4, $4 to $5. I do like this a lot. This is probably coming from my favorite Boulevard set of the year, which is set 1. It came the Liberty Walk and the KDR 30, all of cars that we've not seen yet, which means that 4 out of the 5 cars from set 1 of this year are falling in my top 10. Which is crazy. This is a peg warmer from the set. I get it. but I do like this car a lot. Funny enough, I've seen this thing on the peg so many times. I've just never bought it. And the reason to that is because I know that I can get it for a cheaper price on the resale market. So there you go. All right, moving on to 9th place is the Toyota GR Supra. This is Larry Chen's. He was in Malaysia recently doing some documentaries around, I think, like the JDM car culture here or something like that. Yeah, there's resales. I mean, it's JDM. We get it. It goes from 40 to 45, about, you know, 9 to 10 bucks. Fine. The supply and demand for this car is kind of crazy because when this first came out, I think it was going for like, you know, 50 Malaysian, which is like, I don't know, like $12 US or something like that. But the supply for this thing has gone way up. I don't know why, but a bunch of people started ordering this from like Japan. So a bunch of this started coming in and it started oversaturating the market a little bit. Again, they all have those Japanese import stickers, so some true blue collectors might actually not want to collect those. But then again, it's still a unicorn. You know, they go by pretty quickly. It's really cool. It's a Supra. What can you hate about it, you know? Anyway, moving on, BMW M3. So, I love this one. I have this in my collection as well, and currently I still have it in the casing. 35 to 40, that's just about the resale secondary prices for this car. I think it's super clean. It actually reminds me of an old BMW M3. I believe it's a Majorette car that I had as a kid. And this is kind of like a souped up version of that because it's metal and it has like real riders on it. It's pretty cool, and in my opinion, the second best from the set. You know, only behind that Mercedes, which, you know, we don't know where it'll place yet. Well, actually, if you really know me, I think you'll know where it'll place. Let's be honest. Okay, moving on. Number 7. It is going to be the Nissan Skyline GTR BNR32. I do like the R32. It is. Yeah, it's my favorite generation of Skyline if you take away the KDR30. The KDR30 Super Silhouette is my favorite Skyline. But, you know, if you're talking about 32, 33, 34, 35, maybe 36 one day, then 32 is my favorite. It is like, you know, a lot of people consider it the OG Godzilla. Definitely a unicorn, right? Came in the same set as the Supra. A lot of people like the set, mainly because of the Supra and because of the Skyline. The reason why the Skyline is in 7th place and not top 5 for me is because of the printing in the front. You can't actually see the grille. It looks a bit odd. If you look at the front of the car, I'll put a photo here in the edits. The grille is really faded. It looks like it just has 2 headlights and no grille. Almost looks like an EV in some cases with no grille, right? So that's my only nitpick about it. I do like the baby Godzilla on the side. I think it's really, really cool. It's a nice casting. It could be better, but it's a nice casting. Top 7, in my opinion, resells for a lot. I mean, it's a JDM, what do you expect? Anyway, moving on. 6th place, Porsche 964. Recently just opened this, added it into my collection. I've had it, you know, in the casing for the longest time, but I recently opened it up. I love Porsches. I just love Porsches. And I would say that this is a very stable market price. It's about 35, mainly because people don't want to sell it for 30 because it's a Porsche. You know, it's got that name, you know, that premium name tag to it. It's a Porsche. People don't want to sell it for base. Basically because it's a Porsche, but it won't go above 35 because I don't think it's a very popular Porsche casting as well. But anyway, I bought this for 35 myself actually, so about $7.75. I'm completely okay with that. I do really like this casting. I like the pastel colors. I think it works really well for a car like this. It's genuinely really cool. Top 6. All right, now let's move on to the top 5 Boulevard releases of 2024. Moving on to 5th places. Just about everybody's favorite, I would say, is the Honda Civic Type R. I get it, really good casting. The colors pop, spoon livery is cool, love the wheels, front tempo is great, back tempo is great, casting itself is pretty decent. I think this is going to be number 1 on a lot of people's personal lists. Not for me, one of the most expensive ones, if not the most expensive Boulevard release of the year. It goes for more than double the retail price. It goes for about 65 to 75 Malaysian, which is about 14 to 16 US dollars. That's $10 more than the regular, you know, I guess Walmart asking price for a premium. That's before tax, of course. But yeah, this is an absolute unicorn. I mean, not only is it a unicorn, people will fight for this. I've literally seen people push grandmas to get this car. I've seen grandmas push other people to get this car. Seriously, this thing is just absolutely crazy. So yeah, Honda Civic, probably most people's absolute favorite. For me, I think it's really cool. I don't have it because I'm not paying more than double the price for this. I think that's a bit absurd, but it is a really cool casting. Top 5. Moving on, 4th place in my opinion. I've already said it earlier. I love the KDR 30. I love it so much. I love the body, the silhouette, everything about it. It's gorgeous. Personal high bar, 9 out of 10 for me. It's a little bit of a unicorn. I've only seen this thing on the pegs once. That was in Singapore. That was in, oh, Giselle, do you remember what it was, the grocery store? Fair price, Singapore. Yeah, I have a funny story about this, actually. So we saw this hanging on the pegs, and I was like, I told Giselle, my girlfriend, I was like, that's pretty cool. I'm actually surprised I saw this on the pegs. I was like, maybe I might pick it up later. We came back like 5 minutes later, it was gone. Someone picked it up. I'm not even joking. So I'm pretty sure that was a pretty, it was all gone. Like, I'm pretty sure that was a pretty fresh restock from the employees, and someone picked it up. So that was the only time I've seen it on the pegs. This and the GT4. That was the only time I saw it. Goes over 35 to 40. $7 to about $9. Fantastic. I have 2 of these. One I'm keeping in my packaging, and one is already displayed loose. Next up, I also have 2 of these, by the way. It's the Porsche 718 Cayman GT4. Again, came from the same set. I got one inside the packaging. I got one outside. I love this. I adore this. I love the casting, and I love the color. It just works perfect. Perfect. But not as perfect as the next 2 cars coming up. So I think you know what the last 2 are going to be, but which is number 2 and which is number 1? Well, in second place, my second favorite release from Boulevard this year goes to the Nissan Silvia S15 Liberty Walk. I mean, this thing, again, it's up there with the Honda, with some of the most expensive ones. This has a lower low. So the Honda, I've never seen it dip below 65 Malaysian. This one, I've seen it 60. Actually, I've seen people sell this for 50 Malaysian. But the 50 Malaysian ones, they come with a caveat. Usually the packaging is a little bit damaged. So it's not mint condition. It's not great for a collector. Unless you want to open it up, it's about 50. But, if you want to get a good mint collection one without some stupid import sticker on the back, probably 60 to 75, 60 if you're lucky. So it goes from about $13 US to $16 US. This thing is absolutely a unicorn. I've never seen this thing on the pegs once. I don't own it yet. I would like to get one for, what I consider to be a more fair price, I guess. Or maybe if I get it from a trade with something that I currently have, maybe something from my modern classics collection or something like that, then I'll consider it. But anyway, guys, without further ado, we're gonna go to number 1. I mean, you guys knew this already. I'm pretty sure you guys knew this already. If you knew anything about me, number 1, my favorite release from 2024 Boulevard. I mean, this is number 1 by 10 miles, in my opinion. It's the Mercedes E36 AMG. This thing is gorgeous. I bought this for secondary market price 60. I bought it for 60, so I bought it for about $13 US, double the price. I don't care. It was just worth it to me. I freaking love this. It was a funny story, actually. So I was at this store. I was at a Mattel event, and at the Mattel event, they were selling the newest Boulevard set as a set. Like, you had to buy it, like the whole set. Like, you needed to get for like 150 Malaysian, which is like 30 each. Fair price, fair retail price. But you have to buy the whole set, which included the M3, which included the Samba Bus, which included the Volvo, and I just didn't want that. I just wanted the Mercedes. So I found someone that was buying the set. I just walked up to him. I was like, dude, I'll buy the Mercedes off you, double the price. And he was like, all right. So yeah, I just bought it. This is my absolute favorite release of the year. I would love to get this in black, but I'm gonna be honest with you, the secondary market price for the black version of this, oh my goodness, it's like 200 million. It's like $50. It's almost $50. It's insane. It's a unicorn car as well. It's a fantastic casting. I love it, and they fix a door in it as well, which is fantastic. So anyway, this is absolutely my favorite. So that's my personal list of the 25 Boulevard cars from the worst to the best, and in my opinion, the Mercedes outranks everything by 100,000 miles. This thing is just Mercedes bias to me. It's you know me, man. I freaking love this. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. Remember to stay safe, wash your hands, and blossom out. Peace.
Bro, this song just makes me so happy.
Me too.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Sit back, relax in my Bonneville.